Hi, my name is Virgil Clunder, and on today's edition of Companion Pets 101, we're going to be talking about sugar bears. In the next few minutes, we're going to cover all the pros and cons of having these little guys as pets, show you all the things that make them so unique, and then in just a few minutes, we're going to introduce you face-to-face with a real live sugar bear so you can hold them for yourself, play with them, and see if one of these little guys just might be the right pet for you and your family. Now, just as a little background, sugar bears are also called sugar gliders or honey gliders. They're actually marsupials in the same family as like a kangaroo or a koala bear. They come from Australia and they make great little pets. They're extremely intelligent little animals, and once they've bonded with their new families, they love to be petted. Now, this is a fully grown adult male. Come here, bud. His name is Bandit, and he's one of my personal pets. Now, Bandit's 14 years old, and he's just a big old love sponge. But here, you want to see something kind of cool? See, watch. You can't really drop them. They're kind of like Velcro. Now, sugar bears typically live about 12 to 15 years, or roughly the same as a dog. Now, they're also roughly as smart as a dog, in that they learn their name, they come when they're called, and they'll do tricks just like a dog. Actually, both the Animal Planet and Discovery Channel recently did big specials on them, calling them the perfect pocket pet. Now, the reason is because of how they bond to human beings. For example, I've got 4 little kids at home, and we have 11 personal pet sugar bears in our house, including Bandit here. Now, when our kids get home every day, they put them on their shoulders, they ride their bikes around the neighborhood, they go to the mall, to the grocery store, literally everywhere we go, they go, and they will never, ever jump off you. They're just the most loyal little animals you can possibly imagine. Actually, Animal Planet said they're the perfect pet for somebody in a wheelchair because they're constant love and affection, they'll never jump off you, and compared to most other pets, they're pretty low maintenance. For example, in a cage just like the one on the floor in front of you down there, if you had 2 animals in a cage that size, you might change out that bottom poop tray right there about every 2 or 3 weeks. Now, the reason for that is because they're marsupials, not rodents. And one thing most people don't know about most marsupials in general is that one of their only natural defenses in the wild is that their urine and feces have almost no smell at all. And that makes it hard for predators in the wild to find them. Now, as far as being in your house goes, what that basically just means is that they just don't smell. I mean, for example, like I said, Bandit here is a fully grown adult male and he's never had a bath in his life. But if you just put him up to your nose and smell him, he kind of just smells like a puppy. Now, in a minute, you're going to get a chance to play with an adult sugar bear yourself. So when you do, just make sure and give him a quick whiff. Again, like I said, most people say they just kind of smell like a puppy. In other words, basically, there's just no rodent kind of odor, so that way your house isn't going to end up smelling like a rat cage. Now also, since they're not rodents, they instinctually don't need to chew on things. So they're not destructive by nature, and they're not going to tear up your house. Now, one of the most common questions that new moms and dads usually ask is something like, well, what happens if they get lost in the house or the couch cushions or something like that? And the short answer is that once they're bonded with you, that's just not going to happen. Like I said, these guys are just the most loyal little animals you can ever possibly imagine. And they have exactly the opposite mentality of a rodent. For example, if you had like a hamster or a gerbil and you just put them on the ground, I don't care how long you had, it's going to run away from you every time. But with these little guys, once your sugar bear is bonded to your family, if I took Tinkerbell or her brother here and just put them on the ground, even out here in the middle of the woods with trees and all kinds of stuff, they're just going to come back to me as fast as they can because I'm their dad and they want to be with me more than anything else. Like I said, they're just the most loyal little animals you can possibly imagine, and they'll bond to everybody in your whole family. Now, as far as feeding them goes, there's basically 2 types of food. The first is a dry pelleted food like this that you can also see right down there in the cage in front of you. And to give you an idea of how expensive it is to feed them, a year's supply of food for 2 animals is $68. So basically, it's like $34 a year to feed one, so it's cheap. Now, about the only other thing you do is before you go to bed every night, you just give them a little slice of apple. That's why they call them sugar bears, because they love fruit sugar of any kind. You can give them like a grape or a strawberry, blueberry, anything like that, and they'll love it. Now, another question new moms and dads usually want to know is if you can potty train them, and the short answer is no, you can't. However, they are extremely clean and very predictable little animals, and what I mean by that is this. Right now I have little babies in my pocket right here, And now even as tiny little babies like this, they instinctually will never poop or pee where they sleep just because they're extremely clean little animals. Now with Bandit here though, I mean he spends about 12, 14 hours a day in my pockets every day. So what happens is about every 3 or 4 hours, he'll wake up, come out of my pocket, and let me know he's got to go to the bathroom. And it's just like us. When we wake up from a long nap, usually the first thing you do is go to the bathroom. So what I do is I just hold him out over a trash can or a sink. He backs his little butt up to the edge of my hand, and it's usually about 2 or 3 little hard drops of poop and 2 or 3 little drops of pee, and you're all set to go for the next 3 or 4 hours. Now, if you take a good look at Bandit here, one of the most interesting things about these little guys is that they don't have feet. Instead, they have 4 little hands just like ours. Now, each hand has an opposable thumb on it just like us, so it's incredibly fun to watch them eat. Now here, check this out. I got some Cheerios because you got to see this. Yeah. Like I said, he's going to hold it in his hands just like you and I would eat a donut. And like I said, they're just incredibly intelligent little animals. All right, buddy, let's go back in the pocket a second. You ready? All right. Oh, hi, Marmaduke. Come here, buddy. I didn't give you anything, did I? That's not very nice. You want a piece of almond? Come here. What? Yum. Now, like I said, this is Marmaduke, another one of our family pets. And just like Bandit, he's a fully grown adult male. So this is roughly how big they're going to get. Now in this pocket, though, I've got a little baby. All right, buddy? Let's go back up here for a second. Good? Come here. Good boy. Now this is a little baby girl. She's about 8 weeks old, and we only adopt them out at this age. Now, when I reach in here, she's probably going to make a little crying sound. But that's just her scared noise because she doesn't know me yet. Now, this is exactly what they look like. Come here, sweetie. When you bring them home. Now, like I said, this little girl is only about 8 weeks old. Now, the reason why we only sell them at this age is because it's at this age in the wild when they would naturally leave their mom and dad and then go out and start their own family. Now, this way, when you bring them home, they immediately want to bond to your whole family. Now, that includes, obviously, kids, but also cats, dogs, birds. About the only animal they'll never bond with is a snake, for obvious reasons. Now, in the wild, they normally live in families of 10 to 15 other sugar bears. So when they're in this bonding phase of their lives, like this little girl is, they naturally want to bond to a whole group. In other words, again, they're not just a one-person animal, and they're going to want to bond to everybody in your whole family. Now, almost all the babies we place for adoption go into homes that already have cats and dogs in them. And the single most common question we get is that people think that their cat or dog might kill it. Out of roughly 20,000 babies we've placed for adoption in the last 15 years, we've never had a single death from a cat or a dog, not one. Now, the short answer why is because it's a marsupial, not a rodent. So when you bring them home to a cat or dog, they just don't instinctually smell like food to them. I mean, they just don't know what to make of it. So now, if you just took and threw it on the floor in front of a strange cat or dog, I mean, they go after it every time just because of the movement. So here's what you do. When you bring your babies home, you're also going to get a purple audio CD that explains everything. But basically, all you do is take the cage, you set it on the floor, and then just let the cats or dogs have at it for a few days. Now, cats especially will usually sleep on top of the cage. They're going to be real curious about it. But after a few days of doing that, you just slowly introduce them to each other through your hands, and they end up becoming best buddies. I mean, you see them riding around on the back of the German Shepherd there? I mean, they kind of buddy up, ride around together, they eat together, they sleep together. I mean, now they get along great with the smaller, more high-strung breeds of dogs, and then also even the larger breeds. Now, like I said, they're just extremely intelligent little animals. Here. You want to go in there, bud? Go on. Go on. Good boy. Now, we always tell people it's kind of like getting a really smart dog that you can just throw in your pocket and take with you everywhere. The only thing is they're a heck of a lot cheaper than a cat or a dog because once you get them home, you're pretty much done spending money. For example, they don't require any shots because they don't carry rabies or anything like that. And also, since they don't have heartworms or that kind of thing, other than the optional, checkup every once in a while just to be safe, there's really not much ongoing kind of vet care. Now also, they're generally considered to be non-allergenic, which basically just means they don't shed or have a lot of dander like cats or dogs that kids are sometimes allergic to. Now, about the only other question people sometimes ask is if a vet's going to know how to work on them. And the short answer is, they're not really prone to any kind of illnesses, but if anything should ever happen to them, any vet who works on small animals like hamsters and gerbils can easily treat these little guys. See, they've been in the United States for over 15 years now, and they're typically not even considered exotic. But the reason most people have never actually seen one in person, just like you're going to hear in just a few seconds, is just because they breed so slowly. For example, since they're marsupials, the mom has a pouch just like a kangaroo. So the most she'll ever have is 2 to 3 babies a year on average. I mean, it's not like a hamster or gerbil where all of a sudden you wake up one day and you got 20 of them running around the house you got to get rid of. But again, because they breed so slowly, it just makes it very hard to find them. In fact, this is the only place in your area that even carries sugar bears. And even then, these little guys are becoming so popular as pets that new moms and dads like you usually still have to go on a waiting list and then have their babies hand-delivered. Now, the prices work like this. It's $5.89 for one animal, and that includes the cage, their food, their supplies, everything you see in the cage right down there at your feet. Now that way we're sure each baby is going to a good home that is set up properly. Now the second animal is just $300, so it's $5.89 for one, $8.89 for two, that kind of thing. Now what we always tell people at this point is that if you're even remotely thinking about this, come here guys, you need to do 2 things. Go on in. You want to go in? All right. First, grab one of the brochures that's right down here in front of the display. Now you take it, flip it over on the back, and then go down right here to the bottom where it says asgv.org. Nowadays, if you go out on the internet and do a search on any animal, you're going to get overwhelmed with everybody and their cousin who claims to be an expert and has an opinion about something. The Association of Sugar-Glided Veterinarians, or asgv.org, is a website run by licensed doctors of veterinary medicine who specialize in these animals. Their site has all kinds of free educational videos made just for people like you who are thinking about adopting a sugar bear, and spending just a few minutes on that site is going to save you a lot of time, trouble, and confusion. Now remember, this is an animal that's going to live 12 to 15 years, and they're not for everybody, so we strongly suggest that you read through this brochure and check out the ASGV website because we want you to make the best possible decision for you and your family. Now with that in mind, you also need to understand that when you bring your new babies home, you're not going to be alone because we're going to stay in really close contact with you for the first 30 days. Now again, since this is the only place in your area that even carries sugar bears, our only real concern here is that every baby goes to the best possible home and that you enjoy them. Because of this, what we do is about every other night for the first 30 days, we're going to send you what we call new mom and dad emails that have all kinds of little tips and tricks that we've learned over the last 15 years of raising these little guys. Now also, you're going to get a direct private phone number and email address where you can call us anytime, day or night, if you ever have a question. This way we stay in really close contact with you and can help you with any questions you might ever have. Now it's time for you to play with a real live sugar bear, so here's what I want you to do. At this point, once you've got your brochure, just go up to the front desk and ask for the person who's wearing a special fleece bonding pouch like this one around their neck. Now, in that pouch is an adult sugar bear that you can play with as much as you want. So just ask to see the little guy, and in just a few minutes, you're going to get a really good feel for whether or not this might be a good pet for you and your family. Now also, make sure and ask if they even have any babies here right now that are available for adoption. Now just so you know, we never let people handle our babies and we never ship them because it's just too stressful. Instead, every baby we place for adoption is hand-delivered right here. Now, you might get lucky and they'll have 1 or 2, but don't be surprised if there's already a waiting list of new moms and dads like you who are already waiting for their babies to be delivered. Again, these little guys breed so slowly and are in such high demand that this is the only responsible way to place them in the best possible homes. Now it's time to see for yourself if a sugar bear is the right pet for you. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy playing with your first sugar bear as much as I did 15 years ago.